A British couple decided to travel to New York for a 5-day vacation, and the wife, Katie Amos, went into labor 11 weeks early. Very disastrous situation, and she ended up giving birth to a 3-pound baby at Lenox Hill Hospital in New York. Now, the article doesn't go into too much detail, but it makes it seem as if the baby is okay. The baby is born prematurely, clearly, but the baby is okay as of right now. And now they're facing a $200,000 hospital bill, and they're expected to have to stay in the hospital until March 10th. So they decided to start a fundraising campaign for this. As of Thursday night, they raised $7,566. They still have quite a ways to go to get to the goal. And this story, this isn't an isolated incident, keep in mind. This story is very, very similar to one that we covered recently, where a Canadian couple came in the U.S. On vacation. They went to Hawaii, and she had a baby prematurely as well. And there were even more complications in that case. And it turns out they owe the hospital $1 million. Can you imagine that nightmare? I mean, these are people, they're from countries that have universal healthcare systems, single-payer systems. You go to the hospital in Britain, and you give birth to your baby, and you know what happens? On the way out, if you need money for transportation to get home, they offer you money. So not only do you have not only do you have a bill that is $0.00, they also offer you money on your way out the door. I mean, this is unheard of in America. You know, you talk to an American about this. Go talk to somebody in Idaho about this. Their brain explodes. They're like, that doesn't make any sense. I don't get it. Why aren't people... You know how an American would respond, a conservative American? Well, now people going to have babies to try to get that $12 to try to scam the government. So we got to ban that now. This is how the American thinks. Now, compare that to the Canadian. Compare that to somebody in Britain. To them, again, it's just a common sense position. Like, oh, wait a second. If we're going to have a government, if a government is going to justify its existence, if we're going to pay taxes into this thing we call the government, they better do something in return for that money. And the first thing on the list, if we're making a list about priorities, is healthcare is off the table for a civilized society. Again, that should be a common sense position. If you get sick, you get help, and you don't go bankrupt. Radical, I know. I sound like Marx over here, don't I? I was like a frothing communist, right? I'll say it again, man. This is a common sense position. If you look at Australia, if you look at France, if you look at Norway, if you look at Denmark, if you look at Iceland, if you look at Sweden, you look at Britain, you look at Canada, you look at all of the first world industrial nations, they're laughing at us. They're laughing at us because our system is just that pathetic. We've decided to make a profit off of sick people. You want to talk about bad incentives? That's as bad of an incentive as you could possibly get. Health insurance companies make more money the more they deny care. Think about that. There were entire departments at health insurance companies for a process known as rescission. Rescission is where they try to find a way to nullify your contract with them so they don't have to pay out on your claim when you have cancer and you need chemotherapy. They go, oh, I'm sorry, 3 years ago when you signed this form, you put your middle initial on the first one and you didn't put it on the second one. Therefore, the entire thing is null and void and we're not paying shit out. So you ended up paying money to them every month for years. You paid them $300, and then when you needed them, they said, sorry, we're out of here. That system makes sense? No, that system is a fucking scam is what that is. You've been had. You've been took. It's such a sad thing, man. And now these Canadians, Canadians are now seeing what we deal with. People from Britain are now seeing what we deal with. Come here on a vacation, still a long way away from their delivery date. They go into labor. One owes $200,000, one owes $1 million, and they sit there and they look around like, this is America? A society of, by, and for the dollar, not the people.